Hi everybody. In this second video about bound controls, we are going to talk about a more complex case of bound controls, which is the tab control. Well, the tab control in Magic is kind of special. It can do things that tab controls were never designed to do. Let's create a complex tab control in Magic and see how can we create the same tab control with all of its complexities in .NET. So we're going to say demo tab control, and we're going to add a variable, call it my tab alpha5, and place it on our screen. Put the tab over here and bind its data to our tab and give it an item list of A, B, and C. Great. So we can put a label on the tab. Okay, so let's call it label on A. Okay. We can put a label on the second tab. Label on B. And we'll make that label exceed the actual tab control. Okay. Now, as you can see, if you're using Windows 3D Ways, it's not possible, but if we're going to ahead and switch the tab control to be 2D, it's possible. So we have a label on A and label on B. Let's put another label outside the tab. Label outside bound to C. It's also something that you can do. And let's put a label that appears on all tabs. Label that is on all tabs. And we're going to break its bounding, so it's going to be like this. So I have A, B, C, and the label that appears on all tabs. Cool. So label on all tabs, A, B, partially in the tab, and C outside the tab. Now, all of these are great functionalities of the tab controls that we've seen are used all across many applications. Unfortunately, XPA doesn't support most of these anymore, but as you know, the migrated code supports all versions, so all of these use cases are available in the migrated tab control. So let's go and create that in .NET using the bound. So we're going to add a new demo, UI controller, demo tab control. We'll start by adding a member called my tab, and we're going to go to the screen, place a tab control on the screen, and bind its data to our variable, and we'll set its values to A, B, and C. Great. So now we have our tab control. To switch between tabs, we can say show next tab, show previous tab. Perfect. So let's start putting the labels in. I want to have a label, and I'm going to bring it to front, and I'm going to say bind to A. Great. Now I'm going to make our tab control with style flat and send it to back. Great. So bind to A will be over here, and if you want to bind it to tab A, we're going to go to bound to. We're going to select tab control because we're binding it to our tab control, and in the context we're going to set 0 because the first tab is 0 indexed. Great. So when we're going to switch to the next tab, we can see it's bound to it. Great. Let's go ahead and put another label. Okay. And make it exceed tab control. We'll call it label on B. Yeah, enter goes to the event. And we're going to do the same. We're going to say bound to tab control and context 1, which is the second tab. So on the first one we see this, and the next tab we see that. Perfect. Let's add another one that's going to be bound to C and is going to be completely outside the tab. Great. And we're going to bind it to our tab control, to context 2. Remember, 0, 1, 2. Perfect. And last but not least, we're going to put a label that appears on all tabs. Label that appears on all tabs. Great. Let's run this. So we can see here how we can see the label that appears on all tab, the label that is bound to A, the label that is bound to B and exceeds the dimensions of the tab, and labels that is bound to C that appears outside the tab control in general. So to support all of these different scenarios, we created the bound to strategy, and the migrated tab control supports all of these. That way you can have in a code that was migrated to .NET from any version of Magic, all the functionalities that exist in all versions of Magic, even though XPA doesn't support them anymore. Thanks.